a new wave of hope is making its way to the Eastern African country. My colleague Paul Sisco has more.
The East African country remains in a state of emergency following a years-long crackdown on opposition political activity. The announcement of another state of emergency came one day after former Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn resigned. Ethiopia is crucial to the stability of East Africa. It has the region's largest army, the continent's fastest-growing economy, and it is surrounded by disenfranchised states, including Somalia, Sudan, and South Sudan, and Eritrea. It is a highly centralized state with only the ruling party and its allies in parliament. On April 10th, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution urging the Ethiopian government to increase its respect for human rights and the rule of law. Human rights groups say security forces have killed hundreds of activists, protesters, and dissident journalists, jailing many thousands more. In the last year, the ruling parties also released thousands of political prisoners, closed the notorious Makalela prison, and changed its leadership, replacing Haile Mariam Desalegn with now Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. The 42-year-old took office on April 2nd. Eskinder Nega is a journalist and one of the recently released political prisoners. Nega spent more than 6 years in jail, has been in and out 8 times, and was convicted by the government of treason and terrorism.
Well, this is an African prison, so you could guess how it would be. But overall, I think the objective of the imprisonment was more than physical imprisonment. The objective is to break the spirit, and that was not specifically against me, but against all prisoners, particularly political prisoners. And in the final analysis, it did not happen. That's why I'm sitting here.
He confirms the frequent use of torture by prison authorities and that tens of thousands of others were also jailed.
Like you said, I was in prison 8 times, and during those times, there were times when I was tortured. So there is torture in Ethiopia's prisons.
The new prime minister hails from the Oromo community. Violent protests by the Oromos, Ethiopia's largest ethnic group, and persistent unrest from the Amharas, the second largest ethnic community, continue, even as the new prime minister travels the region calling for unity and promising reforms. Zaid Raid al-Hussein is the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights.
Well, it's unlikely in any transition for it to be smooth. There will always be bumps in the road, there may be setbacks. There's a sense of great anticipation, but maybe trepidation as well. And so hope comes with a little anxiety.
Human rights groups routinely accuse Ethiopia of clamping down on opposition candidates and supporters as well as journalists by using anti-terrorism laws to silence dissent and jail government critics. Meanwhile, there is cautious optimism, strife, and a glimmer of hope in East Africa, and with the Ethiopian diaspora, that maybe the time for change has come, even as returning drought, combined with the displacement of hundreds of thousands, have put millions of Ethiopians in desperate need of food aid. Paul Sisco, VOA News, Washington.